Tom Numbers. I'm here with Ian Clark from Activation Products. Ian, happy Easter to you, sir, and it's great to have you on this evening. How are you?
Hey, Tom, doing fantastic, really, just better than ever, and everything is clicking together and all the gears are meshing.
I like the sound of that. Oh. Meshing together. That's what we like to hear. Well, we've got, it's 1 up, 2 down. I'm sitting down, you're up. So, hey, Wanda, good to see you. So, it's been a few months since we last spoke, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And just right off the bat, we're doing this live because it's Easter Saturday. Yesterday was Good Friday. Tomorrow's Easter Sunday. And both me and Ian have been beavering away over the weekend, but we've made time to do the show with everyone today. And you can click the link in the description below. We've got a 48-hour offer for you. If you just enter Easter 20, all one word, it gets you the maximum discount of 20% off all of the products. After the 48 hours, you can enter Tom Numbers, click the link, and you'll get 15% off. But if you want to get the extra 5% off, do it now within this 48-hour period. Easter 20, so the link's below, and give it a click. So I've got a whole bunch of the products here with me, and I love using them. I wanted to kick off the show and ask you in some detail about one of your staples, which is Perfect Uric. And it's the idea behind it is to balance the uric acid, which you've got the whole purine connection, uric acid, gout, pain in the feet. There's lots of rules of thumb with gout, with alkalizing, just different things. Some people say you can't cure it, others say you can, but you've got the Perfect Uric. So I really wanted to drill into the science and some examples of what that can do for people if they've got that condition of gout.
Yeah, so as far as any kind of symptoms or any kind of medical terms for what people have wrong with them, they're diagnosed with gout or arthritis or whatever it is, that's just a buildup of uric acid in the system. It's not really a disease. But people want to give it a name, and then they want to give it treatments, and they want to bring drugs in, and gout can be extremely painful. So the way we approach it is from a natural standpoint. We look at what is the cause of something, and how do we support the body or promote the body to be able to remove the things that are causing different things, rather than trying to bring a cure. Because even the term cure, I don't like it, period, because the body has got the ability and the desire to keep itself in a state of equilibrium, homeodynamics, where the body is just really functioning at a high level. When I first found out about uric acid, I really didn't know a whole lot about where, we hear about the things like gout, but that's where the crystals are built up so much in the big joint of the toe that literally people can't put weight on their foot. They can't even walk without it, if it gets bad enough. But that's not really the depth of it. That's not the reason why we brought this out. The reason we brought it out because uric acid is something the body creates chemically from an enzyme in the body that digests purines out of food. And that then builds up a certain amount of uric acid in the body that you don't want, because the body's always going to have a little bit of uric acid as part of the functionality. But when it builds up too much, it actually harms the kidneys. And the kidneys, if you go to Chinese medicine, the kidneys are where the life is. Your lifespan is based upon your kidney health. Of course, other organs, but really they focus on the kidneys. And when you have these little sharp crystals in your system, it slowly tears away at the flesh of that organ. And that causes kidney failure eventually. So why does it happen when people are older? Most people don't have symptoms of uric acid until they're at the earliest in their 30s, which is really early on. Most people are getting in their 50s, 60s, some in their 40s. Just depends on their lifestyle and their diet. So this is one of those things that if I would have found out when I was 20 years old, that this would support my body to keep the uric acid balanced, I would have done that then. Because every year that goes by when you're letting your kidneys be damaged a little bit, they get less and less efficient at keeping that in balance. So people who are getting older, you don't want to wait till you have a symptom. You want to make sure that the uric acid is in perfect balance inside your system. So when the uric acid fix came out, it's a special triphala herbal combination that blocks that enzyme. It's so simple. Then the body can start washing excess uric acid out. And then you're not talking about symptoms or disease. You're just saying, look, you got to have the right uric acid in your system. If you don't, you're going to suffer. There's no point in suffering. This is such a simple thing. You just take a little bit every day and keep that enzyme blocked that would normally digest purine, and you're gold. And then the body will eventually wash the excess out, and you don't have any stiffness. Because really, it's your joints, not just your toe. It's your whole body and your kidneys, your functionality. So I'm very, very aware of that. And that's why we brought this out, to help people support that to be in equilibrium.
So it stops the enzyme digesting purine. Is that what I understood? Correct.
That is the whole functionality of it.
So if you eat foods with purines,
mm-hmm.
and you don't digest it with the enzyme, if it doesn't digest, it will just pass through. It can't go into the uric acid stage, and then further down the line into gout. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're just eliminating the amount of buildup of uric acid. That's all. And it only blocks that one enzyme. You're still going to digest all the food you eat. You're just not going to get the purines converted to uric acid. So this is a very big discovery.
Okay. So it's simply, it blocks an enzyme. So you can still eat purines. It blocks the enzyme. It doesn't turn it into excess uric acid, which therefore can lead to the problem of gout. Okay. Wow. That is simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very straightforward. And it's a super gentle product. It's not a harsh product that people would take. A lot of times people take very harsh drugs to try to alleviate these things, and they have all kinds of side effects. This has zero side effects. It just makes the body work more fluid and gets all that abrasives out of the system.
Wow. You said something interesting that I'm sure my listeners their ears are pricked up when you said that the kidneys are life. As soon as you said that, I was like, well, you've got the liver. So what's the thinking with that? I mean, obviously all organs work together for life, but when you pinpointed on the kidneys, can you drill into that for us a bit more, Ian? That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, well, the kidneys do multiple functions. So they work with the blood system as well as the lymphatic system. And when people go into renal failure, they don't make it. They have to get that repaired. There are things you can do with modalities and different protocols to support kidney function. But you think about your adrenals. So your kidneys have the adrenal glands attached directly to them.
Yeah.
So they're really one and the same. I don't separate adrenal glands from kidneys. And when you talk about kidney failure, they call it renal failure, adrenal failure. Right. So your energy system is based upon, it's like a stored battery, a battery charge. And in the Chinese world, you have your qi energy, which is your day-to-day throughout the day. Then you have your jing energy, which is stored as a battery charge. That's in your kidneys. And then you have your shen energy. And the shen energy is how you show up. People, when they feel you, they feel your energy. Yeah. So it's all very tied into these energy systems. And then energy blockage is what causes you to feel older, to lose your youthfulness, to have different, just different issues in your life where you're not functioning at the highest level. So when people are whacking their adrenals all the time with stimulants, that's, again, very difficult and very hard in your life. You're literally removing years off your life over the course of your life if you're always using up your adrenal energy. You want to reserve that for those moments when you really need the surge and not always be draining that jing energy with different stimulants. Things like caffeine are very stimulating. There's a whole bunch of different things that can affect that. But just focusing on keeping your kidneys youthful and healthy, and the liver, that is filtering blood, and that has two different pathways. It has multiple functions for producing enzymes and doing all kinds of things, working with the pancreas. But the kidneys is what we're talking about here. This is the real protector to keep the kidneys from being damaged and torn up.
Wow. So if someone is if they're suffering with gout, the uric or the perfect uric, I mean, it's a preventative, but also I'd assume it's a curative as well.
Well, actually, the body has to cure itself, because whenever you have an overload of anything and you don't add to that anymore, then the body will deal with it. Because when you're young, you keep your uric acid levels balanced. They're in good shape. But as a person gets older, their body becomes less efficient. So the body needs to be supported on making sure it keeps the uric acid in check so it doesn't build up. Because the biggest, it's not the gout, it's the kidneys. The gout is like stage 4 uric acid overload. If a person's having arthritis or symptoms like gout, that's stage 4. So you want to have stage 0, where you have just the right amount of uric acid in your system that your body requires. And that buildup, your body will begin to wash it out. So you're just giving the body a break. The body has to cure that problem itself. And if you're supporting the body to do it, so the perfect uric doesn't cure gout, the body cures it. You're supporting the body's ability to get the energy to get itself cleansed out, because everything about all of our products are based upon two principles: cleansing and nourishing. You want to be cleansing out anything in your body that is out of balance, any pollutants. What you're breathing is one of the biggest problems, because you're breathing all these nanoparticulates you can't see, taste, or smell, and they're pollutants that are in the air. That constantly accumulates. So having all of those systems being supported with different elements or nutrients is the key to this whole thing. That just happens to be an herbal blockage that stops your body from digesting the purines, to give your body that chance to catch up for itself.
Right. And then when someone's younger, when they don't get the symptoms that lead to gout, the enzyme that is blocked, does that enzyme not happen when people are younger, or it's just a slight change in the pathway to give the body a chance to recover?
The body always digests purines. It will always convert the purines to uric acid. But when you're young, it hasn't built up yet. You're like at stage 1. You don't feel anything. Stage 2, you don't feel anything. Stage 3, you're starting to notice some different things that you're not sure what it is. Stage 4 is very, very dangerous. So the edge of things like gout and arthritis, that's stage 3, where you're starting to go towards stage 4. Stage 4 is just flat out dangerous. You can go and look on YouTube and see Tobro. He's a doctor who goes and takes a scalpel and literally opens up the joint and digs out these big chunks of white crystal out of the foot to alleviate. I mean, you don't ever want to get to that place, because that's a person who's usually in their 60s or 70s, and they've got a total buildup and they have no clue how to control
it. Tobro.
Tobro, BRO.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like hell.
Big YouTube channel.
Wow, that sounds like hell. What were we saying just before that? The enzyme pathways.
Oh, we were talking about the fact that everyone is digesting purines automatically and normally.
Yeah.
So high purine foods are seafoods, certain vegetables, mushrooms, red meat. You can look it up online. You just type in high purine content foods, and you can see which ones they are. Now, a lot of those foods are very good for you, and you want to be able to eat them. And now this allows you to eat without worry, because you're not going to digest those purines.
Got it. And if someone's they say this between stage 3 and stage 4, they're getting symptoms of gout, using the perfect uric, what sort of, everyone's different, but in terms of a protocol of just having some of it each day, when would they start to see things kind of ebb off and they start to get into health again?
Well, we've been providing this product for a long time now, and I've had many testimonies where people literally said it changed their life. because it got rid of all those extreme painful problems. The one thing that we have to be very careful with is we never go into making a medical claim on something, because as soon as you do that, then it's like a drug claim. And this is not a drug. There's no monograph on this.
Yeah.
But there's anecdotal evidence all the time that people are getting a huge benefit from using these types of products to support their body's ability to keep itself in balance, in equilibrium.
Do you have many testimonials of it happening quite quickly for people, or is it something that maybe takes weeks and months, or could it be days?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you have a person in their 70s who's got a very severe problem with it, it's going to take a couple of months to be relieved. People who have just starting to feel it, they go, hey, what's that? Or if they have sore joints, or they just got a lot of aches and pains as they're getting older, they'll notice it immediately, usually within a week.
Right. And anything else that you would recommend of the product range to supplement? So this will do anything else that would work hand in hand with it?
Well, the one that I love very much as far as the blood production, because your body, you only have 5 liters of blood. You're going to pump all 5 liters of blood every 60 seconds. Your body pumps 7,200 liters of blood a day. And the product called Trace, and we're going to be renaming it Restore so it doesn't get confused with some other brands in the market. But Trace is a super purified sea mineral extract. It literally comes from ocean water, but it's purified, so it has none of the contaminants that are in sea salt. And it comes in a concentrated liquid. And all you do, this is what the bottle looks like. This is the new label, actually. It's called Restore. And right now it's called Trace.
I really like Trace, yeah.
Yep. And it what it does, it gives your body the raw material in the liquid form in the water you're drinking to produce much more blood. So it's a plasma support. Your body produces blood 24 hours a day. Your bone marrow is where you produce the blood, your large bones especially. As you get older, the red bone marrow converts to yellow because it atrophies, and people don't know that they need these sea minerals to keep that production system working. So when the body's not having the raw material to produce more blood, that's why when people get older, they produce less and less blood, and they're breathing more and more contaminants in the air. And the blood can't do its job because it's so full. Then the body's relying on the liver and the kidneys to filter the blood. Now you can actually produce more clean blood. Then the body can dump the dirty blood. Then the clean blood goes through your whole body. I spent an entire year drinking a large amount of the sea minerals in water and saw all kinds of amazing things happen with my body. Most of it went out through the bowels. Some of it came out of my lungs. For 2 months in that first year, I coughed up white glue. You would have thought I was sick, and I wasn't sick at all. I had no temperature and no infection. And every 30 minutes in my waking hours, I would cough up the stuff that would get stuck in my bronchioles for 2 months. And after that 2 months was done, it just stopped coming out. And it felt like I had double the lung capacity. So that was telling me, wow, this stuff really delivers on giving the body the raw material it needs, because you're not getting enough minerals in the food to produce enough clean blood. That's why when people get older, they get more tired. They get more filled up with stuff. They get more health problems because they're not keeping their blood system rejuvenated by producing youthful amounts of blood. When you're 20 years old, you're producing a lot of clean blood. And as you get older, you produce less and less. So this brought me right back to like a 21-year-old level of blood production and allowed my body to clean itself out. So now I don't drink 3 liters of water a day with this in it anymore. I don't have to. But all the water I drink, this water has this in there right now. And so it's always a little bit keeping everything up to speed. So it took me a whole year. That was when I was 64 years old, a full year to clean my whole body up. And it cleans out the lymph system as well and every cell.
Wow. Would you, a lot of people, myself included, I mean, I love the Trace, and I've also been incorporating putting salt in with the water. You do the activated salt. Would you ever put that in the water with the Trace, or just one or the other?
Well, so the Trace is actually replacing that. So what I use with the activated salt now, I use that for culinary applications because it's really beautiful for that.
Yeah, I did. I just put it on my meals. Yeah,
for sure. And so that is now on the blood production because of this is even more concentrated and it's ultra purified. So this is certified, comes out of Europe. It took us several years to find a company that provides the raw material that had super purification. And we had the activated salt sent to the labs, and it came back pure to meet government standards. But we wanted to go even beyond that, because when people are going to start consuming a large amount of it, they want to get the most pure form, the most concentrated form. And this doesn't have very much taste. You notice that the activated salt is, very tasty, right?
Yeah.
This has much less sodium chloride than what is in the activated salt. So it doesn't have that same taste. It just makes the water very fresh and smooth. So this is by far my favorite.
I've noticed that when you said about so with the sea salt, just not this one, not the activated salt, but just Celtic salt, and I enjoy it. But I've noticed, depending on the quality of it, sometimes you can get a bit of a clump of other bits and pieces, which maybe is natural, but it's also you're like, oh, what's that? So it's interesting you talk about the purity level of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much into the purification of things, because if you can get something absolutely pure, then you will, because you still want the benefit of the sea minerals, but you don't want to have any microplastics or any heavy metals, any of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people who have gone on YouTube and shown the results that they were getting on their testing of pretty much all the sea salts in the world, and it was not good. Some are very, very contaminated. You couldn't pay me to use the Celtic. That was one that came up very, very dirty.
Really?
Yep.
So with heavy metals and plastics?
Heavy metals primarily was the biggest problem. Microplastics, yes. Yeah, but other contaminants as well, because there's so much pollution in the sea water. You've got to make sure you're getting it from a pristine part of the world to start with. And really everywhere you go, there's container ships by the thousands going around the world. There's all the pollution that comes out of in the air from all the construction and industry and oil and gas industry. And that goes into the ocean and it builds up in the ocean. So when you have these sea mineral concentrates showing up on the shore, where you have these massive sea salt mines, that's an accumulation of those things. So it's definitely a concern. And, we're very cognizant of this. And it's our responsibility to provide an absolutely pure product when it comes to something you're going to do on volume.
Talking of contaminants, so beds, mattresses, usually they're sprayed in all kinds of anti-flammable chemicals, and when you get a new mattress, you can quite often smell it. And I tried not for the last few months, but last year I tried about 3 different mattresses, and they're all different and given hassle at different times. I ended up with the Temper, and I was always against Temper because of just the way it sunk. There's one, it's not ideal, but it's probably the most comfortable. But it does have this very strong component of a smell of anti-inflammatory, anti-flammable coating.
Right.
And it seemed, this thing of gassing, and they say, oh, it just goes after a few days, but you can no, and so it's like, even just a practical. I mean, there's purification, but I'm wondering if there's like a coating or a sheet that would stop that or reduce that a lot that I could get, just because I'm aware of it, and I'm like, I don't like that.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if there's any like a cover you could put on that would block the off gassing, because the problem is that gas goes through everything because it's a gas molecule. And when you're smelling it, it's definitely off gassing microplastics. It's messing with people's hormonal systems. Beds should be out of latex, preferably. And you don't want to. You got to watch what sheets you lay on. A lot of sheets are synthetic. The shiny sheets. I don't let any synthetics touch my body. I use linen, pure linen on the bed. Same with what I wear. I'm either going to wear wool altogether or linen altogether. Any kind of synthetics, any polyesters, all of those clothes are off-gassing, number one. And number two, putting things into your system. And there was a study done in Germany, and this is actually a thoroughly done study, where they found out that your body is energized or de-energized by the clothing you wear.
Mm.
So wool, when you have all wool or all linen, you don't mix them, you get 5,000 points of energy, radiating energy into your body. That clothing is the best of the best. If you're wearing synthetics, it's removing 3,000 points of energy. Cotton is 100 points, but your body's already running at 100. Now, and a lot of cottons are not organic, and they'll have pesticides that are in the fabric, and that will release as well. So clothing and your bedding, your sheets, and definitely the mattress, you got to make sure you're not on a mattress that has these microplastics releasing all the time, because they release forever. They don't. It's like if you're smelling them, it's a very high volume, but they're always releasing.
What mattress do you have, Ian? Because most of, like 90%, maybe more, have got this. Because here with the regulations, which is nonsense. I mean, I found one company that claims that they're a natural mattress company, but I'm not even sure of some of the stuff they've got in theirs either, like bamboo. I've heard bamboo's not the best. But what one do you have in terms of mattress yourself?
They're organic latex, and they're not that expensive. You can get them readily. Just have
Organic
everyone look up
latex.
organic latex. You can get different firmness as well, and that is by far my favorite. Now, when I'm traveling, hey, there's not a lot you can do because you're going to be subjected to hotels or the Airbnb or wherever you're staying or with friends. Most people just have regular mattresses, and the flame retardant, the fire retardants they put in these mattresses are totally toxic. They're just bad news across the board. So I just looked it up online, and here in Canada, you got naturalorganicbeds.ca, organic latex mattress starting at $529. They're very affordable. We bought many of them over the years.
Are they spring or are they foam or combination of both?
They're foam. They're solid. There's no metal springs at all. None.
Good.
The other thing with metal springs is all the radio frequencies from the cell towers and from Wi-Fi is always communicating through the metal, and that's radiating into your body as well. So you just got to you need to.
So this company is solid foam, yeah.
Yeah, solid latex is rubber.
Solid latex. Okay, that might be a solution because
Yeah,
I know that's not. Yeah.
Foam is deadly. I bought years ago. I bought these foam mattresses before I knew about the latex. It reeked in the room. And it came in this very tight package. It was rolled up because it was the foam thing, right? You opened it up, it was unbelievable. So I got a hold of the company. They go, oh well, normally we have it off gassing for months before we ship it out, but that was a new shipment. I don't want to hear that. It came wrapped up in cellophane. Yeah. So anyway.
So this company, the Canadian one, the latex, you've been with them for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, organic latex, and they are very affordable. There are some, they used to charge like $5,000-$6,000 for the organic latex before it became known. And then when it became known, then people started producing more volume of it, and the cost went way down.
But they're very soft. They're comfortable, but they're solid and supportive. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're very supportive. Yeah, you can get different.
You don't get that sinking.
That's right.
Because you get that with temper. They used to be a lot worse, but you do. I mean, I'm a big lad, and it's like you start to get this hammock feel in the middle of the night. It's like, oh, you have to roll and get out of it. Okay.
Yeah, the memory foams are bad too. A lot of mattresses will have a layer of memory foam.
Yeah.
At the top. That's definitely off gassing for the whole life of the because it actually breaks apart over time.
Yeah.
It starts to off gas more, and people are spending a lot of their life on a bed. So investing in the bed is a very, very solid investment if you can do it.
Yeah.
It's worth its weight in gold.
Definitely. Any suggestions on the frame? As long as you've got the mattress correct, does it matter if it's a divan, a box, or a slat, or any suggestions on that?
Wooden frame. Wooden frame is the way to go because as soon as you start putting metal frames, you're back to the conductive thing of all the wrong energy. If you're living in a place where there's cell towers around you, that's literal electrical energy, radio frequency radiating you, and it gets amplified by that grid that you're laying on. So wood, very simple. You can get some beautiful wood frames, and you can get the ones that are up higher as well, where you don't need the box spring because you don't want to have the springs. You can just lay the latex mattress right on top of the slats, and it's a completely different vibe when you're sleeping.
And it would So you could slats, but what about not with springs in it, but just a flat box? So mine's a divan. It's a flat box, so there's no springs. It's just
Correct.
like a. I mean, there's a little bit of give. It's not as much of give as a wooden slat, but it's just a plywood box, really. Would that be any foreseeable problems with that, or would
Well,
that be
so it
doable?
just depends on what kind of wood it is. A lot of plywoods have glues in them,
Okay.
and they're glued together, and that's another toxic thing. You don't
Yeah.
want to have any chipboard or anything like that. You don't want MDF. So I think like the natural wooden slats, quite
Yeah.
often they're made of pine or spruce or ash. That kind of thing is really good. And they're solid. They're very supportive. And the
Okay.
slats are usually only about 6 inches apart. And
Yeah.
they go their full width and the full length. It's just, they're good and solid, good support. And I sleep on my back. So, I mean, that's another little clue on sleeping. If you can train yourself to sleep on your back, I literally don't move. I just lay on my back. I just turn my head off to the side. I don't use a pillow because a pillow holds your head up and causes neck problems over your life. It actually starts to cause your head to go forward, which you don't want. You want to have a nice curve in your neck. You put a little, like a linen washcloth under the crook in your neck if you want to support it when you're laying on your back. But I had back problems until I started laying on my back. And I know how to fix back problems anyway, but I learned this many, many years ago about sleeping on my back. A chiropractor told me, he said, if you don't want to come back so often, train yourself to sleep on your back. That was interesting.
I remember as a kid, I didn't like pillows. I grew into them, but as a young kid, I didn't sleep with a pillow. I
Right.
didn't like it. So my body knew back then.
When I was a little kid, I never used a pillow and I slept on my stomach, and it's the worst thing you could do. It's terrible because your head's to the side, no pillow, and I was a mouth breather. And it also affects the shape of your face. It causes the head to get narrow because you're spending so much time on your face.
Yeah.
And on your tummy, no. You don't breathe properly. It's just all kinds of problems with sleeping on your stomach. And then people sleep on their side with a pillow, and they have pillows supporting them, and they have different things. But again, it's not good for the lower back because you never have that total support. And a lot of people move around at night because they're not starting in the right position. And it took me a while to train myself to sleep on my back. It didn't happen just overnight, no pun intended.
You talked about the nose breathing and mouth breathing. Are you a fan of the tapes to train people to sleep with nose?
Yeah, that's right. Now, if you have a beard like I do, the tape doesn't work. I used to use tape for years. And so I use a device that just goes around and holds the chin up, and then the mouth doesn't drop open.
Okay.
And my sinuses are totally clean. Like I went through a protocol about 9 years ago where I completely cleaned my sinuses. It took 80 days. I did it for 90 days, but the last 10 days, nothing more came out. But gradually, all this stuff loosened up and came out. And today, I've got both sinuses wide open. Like most people have either one or the other open, and I've got both like wide open. I've never had a blocked sinus, so I can sleep with my mouth closed, no problem at all. A lot of people have congestion in their sinuses and they can't sleep with their mouth closed. And their mouth will have to be open to breathe, which is losing CO2 at a higher volume than you want. The CO2 is the transport mechanism to get the oxygen into the cells. So people wake up very tired when they're mouth breathing.
What's your thinking on fasting, Ian? Dry and liquid?
Well, I've done a lot of fasting in my life.
Yeah.
And I had to fast when I was eating a lot of carbs because you have to give your body a break. Carbs turn into glycogen, so that means your body's using glucose for fuel, and it's getting too much. So if you're eating carbs, you have to fast periodically. And I did intermittent fasting, a lot of that. I did dry fasting for quite a long time. I actually really do like dry fasting, but I haven't done it for so long because my body's so cleaned out, it's not required anymore. You know, the protocol that I follow, the food that I eat is very specific. And I don't tell people the food I eat because it just goes, what do you do? They can't believe it. But it removes
Tell me off camera.
Yeah. Well, it moved all inflammation, and my body dialed itself right in. I have the perfect weight for my frame. Your body knows exactly the weight it should be. You should never try to do weight loss. You want your body to decide the weight it wants to be rather than you trying to tell it what it should be. And so all my body odor went away completely. I don't get body odor at all. I could go days without taking a shower. I mean, I enjoy showers, so I usually have a shower every day, but I don't have to. My socks don't have any odor because my body's so cleaned out from that. But if a person cannot get away from carbs for whatever reason, then they're going to have to fast. So the one thing I like about intermittent fasting, if you eat for 8 hours and then don't eat for 16 hours for periods of time, and maybe once a week go to 24-hour fast. And dry fasting is very interesting. I did that back in 2016, and that was quite an experience.
How long did you go for?
The longest I ever went was only 3 days. I wanted to do the 5 days, but at 3 days I ran out of saliva. And you shouldn't be working when you do long dry fasts, but I was always on the phone, so I ended up having to drink some fluid, and then I broke the dry fast. But I dry fasted every day for usually 15 or 16 hours, and then once a week I would do a 24-hour dry fast. And I wasn't, at the beginning of that, I wouldn't even take a bath or a shower because you will absorb fluid in. And that actually starves the microbes in your body that are requiring fluid to survive. And so your cells hold the fluid, but they starve. And then it's a very good detox to do the dry fasting. But I've met people who do 5 days often, and other people in Russia who go up to 14 days. One guy I heard of did 16 days. That's a long time. You got to prepare your kidneys for that. Kidneys do not like dry fasting.
Really? Huh. So in terms of the gout, going back to that question, the best way to do it would be a liquid fast.
Liquid fasts are good. Like people do water fasts. If I was doing water fast,
that's what I mean. Water fast, yeah.
Right. But if I was doing a water fast, I would definitely put the trace and the restore in there, the sea minerals, because that's going to support your body much more. It's not food. You're not getting any calories. You're giving it the elements it needs, because when you drink pure water, you're removing the electrolytes out of your system. You do not want to be doing that because it takes a long time to build up electrolytes. And when you pull it out, then you're producing even less blood. So when you're doing this, you're going to produce a lot more blood. You got to make sure you got the C elements in there.
So kidneys okay on a water fast, but not a dry fast.
Oh yeah, the kidneys love the water fast. Yep.
Right. I had a question about something else. I'm trying to think what it was. Water, yeah. So showering, bathing. Do you have a purification water system at yours that you use?
Well, I have a whole house complete purification system. And when you travel, I always try to find a good hotel that actually has purified water. Some do and some don't. So you gotta ask. I have carried a shower filter with me to at least get rid of the chlorine, but it doesn't get rid of the fluoride. So where I live, all of our houses have whole house filtration, and we use a thing called Grander. Grander comes out of Austria. It's just spelled Grander. You can look it up, and you can attach that to the faucet that's coming out for the shower head, and that will mitigate anything harmful in there. And it makes your skin soft and your hair nice and shiny. It's a wonderful thing. You can just look it up, and you buy one, it lasts a lifetime. If you move, you just bring it with you. And it has a supercharged water inside the jacket that supercharges the water that goes through it. And they've won all kinds of awards in Europe for the technology that they discovered. That was discovered like 60 years ago.
Grander. I think I've heard that actually. Yeah, Grander. Is it like a shungite kind of property or something different?
No, it's all medical grade stainless steel, and inside the device it has supercharged water that transfers the energy 100% in any water that goes through it. So you have to look it up. It's a very unique thing. There's no shungite, no magnets. You can put magnets on your pipes, that'll help as well. But this goes above all that stuff. It works the best I've ever seen.
Grander.
Yep. You just find somebody in your country where you live who is the distributor, and you can put a whole house grander unit in that goes after you clean the water up, and then all the water in your whole house goes through it. It energizes all the water in every pipe in your house, and every water that touches you or you drink is granderized.
Huh. So you could, that would act as clean enough to drink the tap water with a grander.
Yeah, no, I don't drink tap water because grander will help the tap water, but it's really
it won't purify it to that level.
No.
Okay.
No. And fluoride, you don't want chlorine and fluoride and bromide. Those are halogens that plug up all your receptor sites, especially the thyroid.
What water do you use? Do you distill and then add trace, or do you?
Yep. That's right. We purify it, granderize it, and then I put the trace in there for the drinking water. For washing, I don't bother with that. It's just purified water. And the one thing that's extremely important that we should talk about for this elemental problem is the perfect iodine. Because the perfect iodine goes into your body, and every cell in your body requires iodine.
Here it is.
It's not just for the thyroid. Yeah. And now that's the little spray bottle that you can use for applying externally.
And then this is the kit. This is what you get.
Yes. You get the 500 milliliter. That's 300 parts per million. It's very low dose, very high volume. And you just drink some every day with water. And it goes in and energizes all your cells. It reacts with heavy metals, fungal infections, yeast overgrowth, any kind of microbial stuff, or what they call viruses. It reacts with them to neutralize them. When the iodine neutralizes them, it chemically converts to I-. I- is iodide. Iodide then goes through your bloodstream and feeds the thyroid, which the thyroid then is fueled to produce T3, T4 iodine hormones. That's what your thyroid does. That's a guidance system for your whole endocrine system. So for women, it's absolutely phenomenal. For men, it's incredible as well. For prostate health especially, and also testosterone production. For women, it's even more important because that balances their endocrine system out. And really, everybody's iodine deficient, and they don't even know it. Nobody told us that we were iodine deficient. So that's the perfect form. The perfect iodine is absolutely the purest, most bioavailable form of iodine in the world. It's like literally it's gas infused in medical grade water. And it floods your system, it carpet bombs all the stuff in your body you don't want. And it helps the endocrine system and the reproductive organs to work far better.
I remember when I first started working with yourself, Ian, and I used to, I still have it, but I remember when I first came across the iodine and I loved it. I just was like, it was so refreshing, I needed it. I'm more top now, but I still use it. But I remember at the time I was like, wow, this is really amazing. If no one's ever experienced it, it's definitely, I can vouch for the perfect iodine. It's well worth getting. Yeah,
it's
delicious.
It's brain power as well, because your brain, your functionality has to have the communication elements. That's what your thyroid will produce once you give it the fuel it needs, because it ties into gut health, immune system, endocrine system. For women, if they're iodine deficient, they'll often have fibroid cysts or endometriosis or some kind of irregularity in their hormonal system for their cycle. And then it ties into brain power. I noticed a significant upgrade in brain function within a couple of months of taking it. It was like, oh, okay, that's definitely noticeable.
I've got a question for you. Nicotine. What's your thoughts on nicotine? There's a lot of people talking about it being a natural nutrient. What's your experience? What's your thinking on it? I don't mean cigarettes, just actual, nicotine, the compound.
Right. Well, nicotine and tobacco, I don't get into that at all. There's the one plant that has a massive amount of nicotine in it is eggplant,
Yes.
right? And potatoes and tomatoes, like little cherry tomatoes, have a lot in it. But nicotine is an essential nutrient. Your body has nicotine receptors, and if you don't get nicotine in your system, then your receptor sites are vulnerable to different infections. So nicotine is something that when you get it from eggplant, is non-tobacco nicotine. So one of my favorite companies is called Knick Knack.
Yeah.
And it has xylitol in it, which is actually good for your teeth. You just take a little piece, you put it between your gum and your teeth a couple of times a day, and that just gives you just the smallest amount. You only need like 2 milligrams a day. That's more than enough. And some people like to have a lot more if they're studying or they're doing an event or a presentation, they'll use it. But you just tuck it between your lip and your teeth, and don't dissolve it. Just let it slowly dissolve. And it's definitely a major nootropic, but it's also a major immune support. So I definitely recommend that.
I've heard of the Knick Knack. I haven't tried that yet, but is it like one of those pouches that you just put up between the gum and the lip?
No, it comes in this form right here. It's a little lozenge. So there's 6 milligrams in there. So you just break it in half, and break it in half again, right? And then break it in half again. Now you have 6 pieces, right?
Yeah.
So that little tiny piece is 1 milligram.
Okay.
You just tuck it inside your lip.
And eventually it will just dissolve, or do you spit it out at the end?
Yeah, it just slowly dissolves, and it goes in sublingually. You don't want to be swallowing it. You know, it's not good for your gut health if you swallow a whole bunch. You know, nicotine is just, it messes with your mucosal layer. So it's a very small amount. Let it go sublingual, goes into your system. You'll taste the xylitol. It's not going to hurt you to swallow the xylitol, but the nicotine's already gone in. You'll feel it immediately within a few minutes.
Yeah, you do.
Right. When you first start doing it, might make you a little bit lightheaded for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then that goes away, and then you have nice, clear brain thinking for the next hour. So that's why it's so good for studying or doing brain power stuff or doing presentations. I use it all the time for any time I do an interview. I have some in my mouth right now. And it just...
You had it right there, all on cue. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So another question, I got asked this actually by one of my followers today. RFK mentioned it. So I was brought up in an environment where things like alcohol, nicotine, drugs, I kept well away from that. Sugar was one that I was, and if I'd have been brought up not to do that, I'd have probably alleviated a lot of things later in life. But I can't think of the word now. Psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a broad spectrum. What are your thoughts on psychedelics? It seems to be coming more around. Like, I kind of still staying away from it because I don't know enough about it. Although 3 or 4 months ago I wouldn't even considered trying nicotine, but I have been. Hence my question to you. So, what are your thoughts on psychedelics? It's a broad subject, but yeah.
Well, there's a massive amount of study that was done between 1943 and 1963 on a psychedelic, a very pure form of it that was non-toxic and non-addictive. And they were literally emptying out insane asylums. They were getting people who were addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, completely off of them, and correcting a lot of brain malfunction. And nobody knew about this. I didn't know about it. I didn't find out until 2017, and I started to see some of the studies that were dealing with this. And a lot of people think about, psilocybin, mushrooms, that kind of thing. But this is way cleaner than that. Mushrooms are fungus, and they're helpful, and people can get rid of depression by doing high doses of mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen all kinds of people get results with that. I found them to be not as beneficial because they are fungal life forms. And so the study that I ran into was done, like I said, for 20 years between 43 and 63. It was from a discovery in 1938 by Sandoz Pharmaceutical. And then it got shut down because the Second World War hit. That was in Switzerland. They weren't in the war, but there were curfews, and they just sort of put everything on the back burner for about 5 years. In 1943, it started to be investigated again, and it was just very, very tiny doses. And one of the scientists, Albert Hoffman, did a small amount. Didn't know he did it. It came into his skin, but he noticed that he had a much higher functionality to be perceptive in the lab that day. And he
And
thought, well,
what was
that?
it, Ian? What was the actual particular psychedelic?
It's called D-lysergic acid.
D-lysergic acid.
D-lysergic acid, commonly in the world is called LSD.
Okay, yeah.
LSD has a very bad name because
Yeah.
it was misused. It was put out for recreational use. That's not what it's for. It was totally therapeutic. And so the next day, which actually happens to be today, April 19th, in 1943, April the 19th, Albert Hoffman, the scientist, ingested 250 micrograms, which is a very, very small dose. And he had a totally psychedelic experience. And they call it Bicycle Day. If you look it up, April 19th, Bicycle Day, he rode home on a bicycle with his colleague because he was seeing so many wonderful things around him that he never realized were there, and had a tremendous experience. So he was the first one ever to ingest the D-lysergic acid. And he had all kinds of deeper perceptions. That's when the Sandoz Pharmaceutical started making tens of millions of doses of it because they wanted to go out and find out how it did for cognitive behavior. That's why it went to only clinics in these insane asylums, these places where people were housed who were completely out of their minds. And one of the biggest places in Canada was in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. If you want to see the documentary on it, it's called Hoffman's Potion. It's on YouTube. It's free. It's only like 58 minutes long.
Hoffman's Potion.
Yeah, okay. Hoffman's Potion. And you can do your own study because I feel that most people don't need it. But if you're a high performer or you have a lot of responsibility in your life and you want to have super clarity, they've done MRI studies and looking at brain scans where the brain is just slightly lit up with energy. And when you put the D-lysergic acid in your body at 100 micrograms, it's only in there for about 20 minutes. It blocks serotonin for 12 hours. And your whole brain lights up with intelligence, and then all four quadrants of the brain connect. And it makes you more intelligent later. So that the experience where you have 8 to 12 hours of serotonin block, that's an experience. And it's actually very enjoyable, provided that you don't have low magnesium or low iodine, or if you're deficient in elements, you might have a not so pleasant experience. But I actually started doing some experiments on it and found in Canada, there are places where they have qualified labs that make it, and the government doesn't seem to do anything about it. You can literally get a drop ship, so it's extremely purified. And it's the real thing. It's the same as what they discovered in 1938 to 1943. And anyway, it's something you don't want to do and something you would do not frequently. But for therapeutic reasons, it has a great benefit. So that's the only psychedelic that I ever touched because it's the only one that's extremely pure, non-addictive, non-toxic. And you don't really want to do it.
Wow. What's your thoughts on hyperbaric oxygen?
Well, my preference is hypobaric. So hyperbaric is all the rage. I mean, it's everywhere. Everybody's buying hyperbaric chambers, especially the last 5 years. Hypobaric is a vacuum. And what it does is it deprives you of oxygen for 20 minutes at a time. And it brings you up in elevation, up and down the whole time for 20 minutes. And it acclimates your body to get more oxygen out of the air when you're not in the chamber. Where hyperbaric is pushing oxygen in, and people get results from that. They're helped from that. But I don't want to train my body to go on vacation so it doesn't think it needs oxygen anymore as much as you would get. So when you exercise your body with oxygen deprivation for 20 minutes, then you're day in, day out, you're getting way more oxygen, just like a mountain climber.
Yeah, training altitude.
Yep, altitude training. So that's a whole nother thing. The hypobaric, they're much more expensive. So people buy those and put them in clinics. And then you just go and pay the $60 to go and do a treatment. But the hyperbaric, you know, you can get those for 30 to 40,000, or you can get a home unit for 10 to 15,000. So they're much more affordable, but they don't give the same. I don't go in hyperbaric at all, because I don't want my body getting something that it should be getting on its own, unless I was really sick or something. But I'll never be there.
Hypobaric. Yeah, I didn't realize you could do a reverse one. Interesting. Yep. And red light therapy.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of red light therapies, and there's been a lot of science around it. It's extremely beneficial. What I do, I just wear one on my wrist for about 20 minutes a day, and it's very low intensity. And what I found out is if you go more than so many minutes with red light on your body, it helps you, but then it starts to bring inflammation into your body, depending on what it is. So you got to become sophisticated when it comes to red light therapy. You don't just go and lay under a very intense LED system and think you're going to get a big benefit. It can have inflammatory results as well, but you just be careful with it. You should use it, but use it very sparingly, and it will give a big benefit because it works with mitochondrial energy in your body. So that's another.
Do you use like a laser wristwatch sort of thing?
Yep. Yeah, I just put it on, and it doesn't really it gets a little bit warm. That's it.
A cold laser?
Yeah, they're cold lasers, but it has a little bit of warmth to it.
Yeah, I've got one of those. Yeah,
LEDs, and there's different levels of sophistication. You can spend all the way up to $4,000 or $5,000 for them. This one I have is only $350, not expensive. So
is it the Spooky 2 one?
Do it.
Is it the Spooky 2?
No.
No.
This comes from a company called AO. Some friends of mine told me about it. I don't promote it or anything, but I use it once a day for 20 minutes, usually in the mornings, and it works with the methylene blue. It activates the methylene blue more because all the blood in your body is going to go by 20 times. Or no, I'm sorry. Every minute the blood goes by here. So in 20 minutes, right, you've got full 20 circulations of all your whole blood system that goes past the red light.
It's called AO, you say, yeah? AO.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about methylene blue. So I've tried that a couple of times a few months ago, and then recently it's kind of coming around a circle. I mean, RFK was seen dropping it in on the plane. I watched a video today actually and posted it, and a guy, can't remember his name now, he's a little guy, but he's a fitness guy, big following online, but he was giving his reasons of why not to do methylene blue. But I'd like to hear your reasons for it, why you know, the pros from your perspective.
Well, the pros are only mitochondrial energy, and it's very low dose. So there's a very high dose methylene blues out there, very high dose melatonin as well. There's different people have different reasons. One of the things that I heard from a scientist is that it affects the nitric oxide production in your body when you're doing too much. And so it's like anything, just do moderate amounts. You know, if you're peeing brilliant neon blue, you're definitely doing too much. So, it's just in moderation. So, but you know, I haven't done the deep dive into the science side. I've listened to people talk about it. I've noticed a slight benefit from it, and I take these 2 little tablets, and it's also non-toxic. There's some methylene blues that have metals in them that people have tested. So you just got to make sure that what you're doing is very pure and just very low dose.
Melatonin you mentioned. So, yeah, tell us a bit more about that if you would.
So I don't take melatonin myself at all because I have very deep, high-quality sleep.
Okay.
And the body will produce melatonin. If you start taking melatonin, your body will produce less.
Yeah.
But there are some people who claim therapeutic doses of very high melatonin are very beneficial. I've never gone down that road or tried that. So I'm not an authority to talk about that at all.
Okay. And PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency, I think thoughts on that?
I use it every day. So I have many different devices. I learned about PEMF in 2008 from a company that came out of Switzerland. And they said they were the only ones that had this, okay. And then I find out there's a ton of companies that have it. And
Yeah.
there's different frequency modulations that they embed in the programming. Some of it's for microcirculation, others for strengthening bones, others for cognitive. But really, we're electromagnetic beings. And so we're hammered with all these unnatural electromagnetic frequencies as well as radio frequencies. So the reason I like it, because it resets my body back to the earth and the body's natural frequency. And I have devices that, I spent a lot of money on PEMF. You can buy them anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to $15,000 to $35,000. The most expensive one I ever bought was $35,000. It was a medical device that did biofeedback. And since I'm not a practitioner and I don't have a clinic, I ended up selling it because I didn't need that. But I use a couple of different ones. I have one that's portable, that's quite affordable. And I bring that with me wherever I go. It runs off of a battery. And it has all the different types of embedded frequencies that you can choose. If you want to get some sleep, or you want to study, or you want to get energy, you can choose different programs. And then there's other ones that you don't carry around because they're very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I don't like, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, I just personally don't like them. Those are very high intensity ones that are shaking your body, cracking really hard, and they're like $20,000. Now they're good for really severe injuries. If you want to have rapid healing on a joint like a knee, they're very effective, but they're way over the top. The body is running on subtle energy, and I prefer the subtle energy PEMFs.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite. The one I carry with me is from a company out of Europe called Centropics. I think they're out of Liechtenstein. And that's a portable one. I like that one. I have a Sequex, SEQEX, it's out of Italy. They're very expensive. You're talking $14,000, $15,000 for them. And I keep that at the house all the time. And I'll often use that when I'm here because I've got different cards I put in for different reasons. And it's, I really like it. That's a 36-minute treatment. The Centropics is 20 minutes or 25 or 15. It just depends on what you're choosing. And I've seen miraculous things happen with the probes that have a square wave that repairs injury rapidly. It's a really great technology.
Are any of yours like a kind of coil?
Well, I have, there's coils in all the mats. All of the ones you lay on have a series of coils in them. There's other ones that have a coil itself that you can place in your body.
Almost like a large donut.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's all different types. Really what they all are, they're all Tesla coils.
Yeah.
So if you want to really do a deep dive into PEMF, a very close friend of mine spent 15 years and he did all the research, and then he spent another 5 years building a documentary. It's called Tesla's Medicine. If you go on Tubi, Tubi, and type in Tesla's Medicine, the first 90-minute documentary will come up. He goes into all the different Tesla technologies you can support the body to heal itself. And his name is Bob Connolly, Robert Connolly. So I'm going to see him tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to be at a studio in Toronto tomorrow doing a bunch of filming. And so he's a really amazing guy.
Get him on the show. If he's open to it, we'll get him on the show again.
Yeah, he'd love to do an interview for sure.
Yeah, we'll have him on. And talking of Tesla-like technology, Scalar, what's your thoughts on Scalar?
Well, the scalar energy is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people make the claims, scalar this and scalar that. It's sort of a buzzword now. The scalar equipment I have, it's a biofeedback device. It's called the CyberScan, CYBER scan. It comes out of Germany, and I bought that in 2016. This is a practitioner model, and it's portable, comes in a briefcase, and you can put hair or put your hand on it or send a picture, and it's called a quantum machine. So it can diagnose and then treat many different human ailments, quantum. So if a person, you get a card with it, you can sleep with the card, and you can also have a broadcast. It will broadcast and treat hundreds of people at a time. You just program them in, and people think that's pretty woo-woo, but I've seen some very interesting things happen with that. Now, I don't have it hooked up 24 hours a day because I'm not a practitioner. I want to get it out there again and get it fired up because I hired a person to start with who was running it for people. This was back in 2016, but then they got tired of it and they went and worked in real estate because they weren't making enough money. Because it's a hard job. You're always dealing with people with their issues. But I have a very close friend in Los Angeles. He's been using it since 2016 as well. And he found out about it from the same group I knew. And he uses it every single day and has treated thousands of people with it. So that's real scalar energy. And people get results all the time.
I'm a fan of Scalar, and I've been, I have the like kind of big briefcase type box things that have the wire, and I was going to reset that up in the home, but the guy that got that with me was John White. And anyway, he I don't know if you've seen these or something similar, but he's created this one, the Aha Halo, which is a portable scalar.
Right.
And I love it. I mean, I sleep with it. I carry it around with me, drive with it. And there's all these different frequency settings. There's a full body cleanse, a water charger, liver cleanse, kidney, even just like mental clarity, chakras. But I'm a big fan of it. And I just noticed like you said about the woo, I just noticed a nice kind of ambient feeling when I have it with me. So it's kind of got this kind of positive. I notice if I don't have it, I'm like, oh, I want to have, So I'm a big fan of it, and it's fascinating what you said about those references of those other guys you mentioned that have had thousands of results with people.
One of the things I wear 24 hours a day, both of these things. This one's really out there, so I won't talk about that right now. But this is a Leela, Leeleq, Leela Q. And this is a scalar device. It has little beads in it. But this protects your body from RF, number one. Number two, it connects you to the perfect intelligence that is all around you.
Yes.
Right. So Leela is cool. Have you ever seen this or have you ever talked to it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So this is definitely scalar energy because it's attracting it in.
Okay.
So it's like an antenna that connects you to that level of energy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this one just connects you with very, very key people. It has minerals from 12 continents. And I was told that. I went, 12? I thought there was only 7 continents. It's like, oh yeah, right. Yeah, I think the world's a little bigger than we think.
Beyond the ice wall.
What's that?
Beyond the ice wall, yeah, or wherever.
Oh, yeah. Layers.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting place.
Yeah. So that's so that connects you with those people on those continents.
Yeah, it connects you. I just noticed immediately as soon as I started wearing it, and I am not for wearing pendants. I bought every pendant in the world, when I first got into the health space, and you're cruising around these health shows and these conscious life expos. But this is the one that immediately started to make a difference. Like I got
what's it called again, Ian?
There's no name for it. It's just this guy named Michael. He didn't even have a booth. I just ran into him, and I asked him what he did, and he said, I provide this for people around the world. This was $500. And he had one for $350 that was sold.
Can I get one?
Yeah, I can refer you to him.
Okay.
But he doesn't advertise at all. He believes that when he meets people at certain times, and if they resonate with it, and as soon as he took it out and I felt it, it was like, oh, that's interesting. And I bought it immediately.
Yeah.
That was in February 2024. February 2024. So I've been wearing it.
Was it February 15th? Do you remember?
No, it was February the 5th.
I was close. 15th is my birthday. I was close. I was like, I know people on the 5th. Yeah. Wow. Right. Okay. Very cool. What other, talking of these alternate things, and we'll obviously come back to activation. Any other things that are interesting? Because this space, the more and more I'm meeting with people like yourself and trying to think, I'm fascinated by the whole thing, and any percentile of upgrade is always so interesting. Any other things that maybe I haven't asked you yet, but think would be of interest to mention?
Well, there are three things in the activation line. We have 21 products. So we don't have all these products like these other companies that have thousands and hundreds of products. We have very definitive things. and they had to get it through the filter. If they didn't make it through the filter, that wasn't going to bring them into the portfolio. But there's Ease Magnesium. Ease Magnesium is a transdermal magnesium that goes in through your skin. You spray it on once or twice a day.
Here she is.
That's the deep soak. That's what you
That's the
put in your
deep soak.
bath.
And you've got obviously the squirter as
The
well.
spray.
Yeah.
Yep. So the deep soak you do it once a week in a bath. You got to make sure the bath is not hotter than 102 degrees, because if you go above that, your body releases it, doesn't absorb. But I spray the Ease Magnesium on my body from the neck all the way down to the bottom of my feet. And that brings your tissue magnesium levels up. If you take a magnesium pill or a powder or a potion, that goes orally. A lot of that gets filtered out. And it takes a long time to get it to where it's needed. When you spray it on your skin, it goes immediately to that part of your body. And you feel your body get into a relaxed state because it relaxes the muscles. But that's a magnesium chloride hexahydrate. It's an ocean water extract, extremely purified. It's like USP pharmaceutical grade level. And we put it through a 12-hour process in our factory to amplify the energy of it. So when you put it on, it's not scratchy and itchy and uncomfortable. It goes in very comfortably, and it disappears in your body in a couple of minutes. And that is magnesium repletion. People are magnesium depleted. And that affects more than 330 different biochemical reactions in your body. It affects brain function. It affects your autonomic nervous system and your central nervous system. So you want to be in a nice equilibrium state, and magnesium is a fuel. So the key about putting it into your skin, it stores in your tissue, not just in your blood. And then you build up a reserve bank account you can draw on. So for men, it's amazing because the more stress you're under, which we thrive on stress, the more magnesium you're going to burn. For women, because of the hormonal cycle, they use even more magnesium than a man, because a woman's body is hyper intelligent, and that hormonal level in a woman's body could have a baby. That's hyper intelligence. So women need that even more than men, because men will burn it, but women will burn it in a different way. So it keeps the autonomic nervous system primarily in parasympathetic, which is rest and restore, right? Rest and digest. So it works with all your systems.
Ladies, get your bath time. Get your magnesium Ease.
Yep.
Ease to 20. You get your 20% off that. So magnesium, and then the other two you're saying there were the three that.
So the other two are, number one is Solaris.
Yep.
Solaris is a detoxifier that goes in and converts any pathogenic stuff in your body into inert matter. You can use it topically on all kinds of skin problems. You can use it on your dental, on your toothbrush, helps with dental. You can swish it in your mouth, but I primarily drink it. And it goes in and it helps the cellular function work far better because it gets rid of all the pathogenic stuff that interrupts cell function, goes after heavy metals, goes after fungus, microbial overgrowth. It's a phenomenal thing. We get major testimonies coming just on that functionality of it. And then the other one is black cumin seed oil. Black cumin seed oil goes in as a whole body tonic. That also works really well for dental. You'd only take that once a day. It's 1 teaspoon after a meal. You tip your head forward with a teaspoon in your mouth. You swish it for about a minute and just wash it down with water. So it helps to equalize all the stuff in your mouth to have a good high dental health. And then it goes in and it gets all the gunk out of your system. But it's a delivery mechanism for a whole spectrum of nutrients. It's actually a spice, but it's a therapeutic spice. And it's been known around for thousands of years. So in the concentrated form in the oil, it impacts in a real positive way all the systems in your system by cleaning and nourishing simultaneously. So that's a very unique product. So those are the big ones that we've talked about today.
And you've got Oceans Alive as well.
Yep. Well, that's pure brain food. So if you're high intensity brain usage, that's a must-have because that's marine phytoplankton. That was actually our foundational product that we started the company with 18 years ago. And that has the sea minerals and it has the phytoplankton, which is a broad spectrum nutrient. So that is energy. That's just literal energy in a bottle. And you don't need very much of it. I just put 1 dropper full in water or a smoothie and I drink it every day. So that's something that's a staple.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Energy, 74 in numbers. Gematria 74. Well, Ian, that was fascinating as always, and I appreciate you sharing the broader spectrum of knowledge, because everything is all interconnected and intertwined, and the holistic healing and upgrading of humanity. So thank you. Anything you wanted to share before we wrap up?
I think that one of the biggest things I always want to remind myself and everyone about is that our bodies are our most valuable asset. Because in the physical world, your body's connected to everything. And we're here to serve people. So the healthier you are in the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, domestic, financial, and environmental world that you live in, the more you're of service to people. So we're here to improve people's lives. We're here to make the world a better place. And it's not some, altruistic thing. It's really on the ground true. And you're here to serve people. And surround yourself with people who are of the same mindset, because they will automatically serve you as well. I'm not here to be served. I'm here to serve. And my body is extremely valuable, and I get healthier every single day in every category because I found the real protocols that work to support that. And then we're supposed to be here for a long time. And energy is called money in this world. Okay? People misinterpret the term money. People think money is paper, gold, silver, crypto, whatever. That's not what money is. Money is an energy, and you breathe it in and you breathe it out. And the more value you create in the world, the more you're out to improve people's lives, the more energy comes to you. So instead of just having a couple of breaths a day of energy that you breathe in and out, you have 1,000 breaths in and out. The more value you create, because that energy resource, that entity is literally an entity, is looking for people who are wanting to serve. And they can talk about Wall Street crashes, they can talk about economical troubles. That's all fake. What's real is that you're here to serve people and improve people's lives, and that will flow at you more and more. So the currency that is in the monetary world, they call it money. The currency in the physical world is what you're going to feed your body with, where you're going to feed your spiritual life with, where you're going to feed your mind with, where you're going to feed your emotions with. And that makes you a much brighter, much more enjoyable person on the earth, where people want you around and they respect you and appreciate you and they listen to you and they love you. So that's really what this is really all about, is that who you are.
Yeah.
And how you show up.
Thank you, sir. Well, you said currency, and talking of energy and quantum, we've mentioned. So in numbers, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, the order of the alphabet. If you spell the word currency, it comes to 107. If you spell the word quantum, it also comes to 107. And if you spell the two words, the energy, or magic energy, or energy gate, it comes to 107. So currency, quantum, the energy, they're all 107. So as is my friend, he's my friend, Trump's 107, Superman 107, Aquarius 107, Eternal Life 107. So 107 is a super powerful number. Currency, the energy, and quantum. And you've shared some of those medallions that seem like they have quantum properties. So, yeah, thank you.
Yes. All right. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. And everyone, thanks for joining the show. Links are below. Do take payment in silver. Well, everything's energy, yeah. Where are we at?
So Easter 20 is good for 48 hours.
That's right, Easter 20. So just capital letter Easter 20, you get 20% off. After the 48 hours, you'll click my link still, and you can enter Tom numbers. You'll get a regular 15%. But right now, that's why we wanted to come on the show this evening on Easter Saturday for you. So fantastic. Well, thanks, folks. Thank you, Ian, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome.
All right.